Why is the AARP worried about student loan debts? The AARP, the American Association for Retired Persons or something like that, is worried about student loans? Does that make any sense? And the answer is yes, it does. This is a very interesting article I just came across. I'm going to share with you from the Political of all places. And I don't get involved in politics much here at the Heritage Wealth Planning YouTube channel because that's not why I sign on board. But if it's political, that's political inherently, and this is not as political as you think. It's more about the rise of student loan debts and and the basic garnishment of Social Security wages for retirees, and that's not good. So we're going to talk about that today. So welcome to Heritage Wealth Planning, my friends, the place where you come to learn about how your student loan debts could be garnished, your Social Security payment could be garnished because of your negligence on paying off your student loan. And that's scary. That is scary because student loans are one of those debts that can't be discharged in bankruptcy, and it's bad. So let's dive right into this. Before we do, don't forget to go to subscribe down below at Heritage Wealth at the little red button. Oh, my hair is getting out of control there. Sorry, got to get cut tonight. Hit that little subscribe button down there, and then of course hit the bell to be notified for future content because we're doing a lot of episodes now. So you want to stay informed. So this, I tell you, this is interesting and shocking. I'm not even sure how you'd say this, but I mean, student loans. I literally just took my daughter to Georgia Tech for the first day today, and trust me, the reason she went to Georgia Tech over all these other schools, Boston University, Notre Dame, Rice, Emory, is because of price. I mean, when you have the Zell Miller here in Georgia. And your in-state tuition, I mean, you're talking all in $15,000, and that's just for room and board. You can't beat that for Georgia Tech. And so ideally, she gets out of school with no debt. That's the ideal. $10,000 debt or something like that. That's fine. But ideally, no debt. We have 6 miles to feed. Well, now 5 on one income. And being self-employed, that income fluctuates. So I don't put my kids through college. Tell that right now. No one put me through college. Good old, well, you did, the viewer, through the GI Bill and the Army's College Fund. So thank you for that. But my one thing I tell my kids is there's no education worth it to graduate with $100,000 of debt. There is none. It just isn't any, because that $100,000 will stick with you for years and years and years to come. It'll limit your ability to do things in the future. And if you need to get the learning, you can do it on your own without paying the debt or go to community college. All right. So let's talk about this. I find this incredibly interesting and I kind of somewhat frightening, actually, especially for soon to be retirees. As student loan debt has ballooned over the past 2 decades, the issue has moved from the sidelines of wonky policy debates into a full-fledged campaign issue. Well, I don't even care about that. Over the past several years, the nation's leading senior lobby has become increasingly involved in student loan issues, pressing the federal government to stop garnishing the Social Security benefits of older borrowers who defaulted on their loans. And in some state capitals, a group is taking on student loan industry, pushing for more regulations to police abusive loan collection practices. Well, I tell you what, instead of focus on how to police the abusive loan collection practices, why don't we focus on not getting people in debt to take the student loans to begin with, huh? Crazy, I know, but just don't take debt and go into retirement. And student loans are another source of debt, another source of the chains that bind you down where you can't live the life you want. It's even worse, though, because you can go into bankruptcy, get rid of your credit cards, and rightly or wrongly, I'm not here to pass judgment, don't care. But you can. On student loans, you can. A retirement organization may seem like an unlikely force for reform of student debt, but AARP's involvement underscores just how long a shadow student loans are increasingly casting over Americans' economic lives, a shadow that stretches all the way into their retirement. It makes me mad. Remarkably, Americans over 60 years old are the fastest growing category of student loan borrowers, having roughly quadrupled in number between 2005 and 2015. Although the older borrowers still account for just a sliver of the more than $1.5 trillion in outstanding student loan debt, they're more likely than young borrowers to be behind on payments. Older borrowers are a tiny amount of the indebtedness of the total $1.5 trillion outstanding student loan debt, and yet they're more likely than younger borrowers to be behind on payments. And because you can't discharge your student loan debt, they're going to garnish your Social Security wages, my friends. I cannot think of anything that it just infuriates me. Well, lots of things infuriate me, but that's insane. We consider it a looming threat, says the lady here. A central concern, she said, is how student debt for themselves and their children can delay key milestones like home ownership and chip away retirement savings. All right. Those cost solutions, brutal surprises in old age. The idea that you can have a student loan debt of your own that lasts 20 or 30 years and pick up some for your child that could last another 20 or 30 years. You're looking at a lifetime of carrying student loan debt in some form. Depending on one's income level, that could really hamper your ability to have financial security. Do you think? Concern over those trend lines are prompted AARP to update its policy agenda last year to include a new focus on higher education. This right here, it actually ticks me off. Not this part. Calling for greater transparency in how colleges set tuition and fees. I'm absolutely right on with that. How about greater transparency, not only how they set tuition and fees, but greater transparency on the payback of said college. So you go to Harvard and you borrow $800 million. How many people are actually paying those back on time? And what is the average balance after 10, 15, 20 years? And I'm just picking on Harvard. It could be, I don't care what it is. College, state, university. More state and federal spending on higher education. There is no money, AARP. There is no money to spend on more higher education. It's gone, all right, because we've got to fund the unfunded liabilities of Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security as it is. There is no money. Get over this. It's not happening. And rein in, rein in for-profit colleges with poor outcomes. Why is it just the for-profits? How come those schools down there who are adding all these administrators who aren't teaching, who aren't advancing the cause of education, they're the ones with their huge amounts of salary, their big defined benefit, which is a pension, and the 401ks and all that stuff, and the benefits that go with it. Okay, rein in for-profit colleges with poor outcomes all you want, but why give these other groups a free ride just going out to the University of Phoenix or whatever? I got my master's degree from a for-profit college for Financial Planning. Let me tell you, I also got my undergrad from a state university at George Mason. If you think the College for Financial Planning was a walk through the park, I invite you to go there and study for a certified financial planner or your master's degree and tell me how easy that was while you're working full time and you got to wake up at 4:30 in the morning. That's what I had to do. And I'm telling you, don't give me these for-profit things. They're just like what we used to call in the old days, the matchbox college degree. It's not, some might be, but what are you talking about? When you have teachers at these non-for-profit universities, state U, that say you can pick your grade. How come that's not being under the guise here on the microscope of AARP? That makes me mad. Well, I know why, because I have a feeling a lot of these foundations at these large universities are probably funding AARP, and the for-profits aren't. I guarantee it's that simple. But if you're going to go after for-profit colleges, poor outcomes, man, more power to you. But you got to go after the big source of this, and it's not for-profit colleges. That's a tiny sliver of the overall student loan debt. The overall student loan debt is going to this huge university with gigantic endowments. I don't understand why they're not under the gun. I just don't get it. They dwarf the for-profits, and now they're bringing all these administrators who aren't adding one dime of benefit to the students and their learning. They aren't, and yet their student loans are going up and up and up. It actually infuriates me, especially when I hear that grandma is co-signer for these loans for the grandkid to go to school, college U, and the grandkid doesn't learn anything. He's going to graduate with $100,000 of which grandma co-signed for. Grandkid defaults on his loans, and guess who's stuck with it? It's grandma. And she's going to have her Social Security wages garnished. And why does this infuriate me so much? Because I used to do car loans a long, long time ago. And I'll never forget, nicest grandma on the lady would co-sign for little Junior, and little Junior would not pay the debt, and he would skate off someplace, and the car would be repoed, and not us, but we'd put it to a collection agency, and they'd go after grandma, or she'd have to go bankrupt, or she just couldn't pay the debt. I've seen it happen more times. As little Junior, he doesn't care. He's out there doing what he does. Maybe at some point he'll wake up and say, "Oh man, I really screwed grandma." But the bank doesn't care about grandma. The bank just says, "Grandma, you signed for this. You are on the hook for it. So unless you declare bankruptcy, we're coming after you." And they have every right to do that. You might not like it, but they do. She signed for it. She should have never done that. Never have done that. And I'll never forget that. I said, you can see these guys, these kids, these punk kids coming in with grandma. Grandma's just the sweetest lady. You can say, and the kid didn't have any credit. Kid was, delivering pizzas. And you're like, "Grandma, please don't do this." But it's her. She can do whatever she wants. And you're sitting there and said, "Please don't, I want to let you know what could go wrong." All right, a more pressing concern for some older loan borrowers is Social Security garnishment. Yeah, you think ARP? Which ARP has long opposed. Student loans are harder for borrowers to discharge from other kinds of debt than other kinds of debt, and federal law allows the Education Department to reduce safety net benefits to recoup defaulted student loans. Let me read that. Let me reiterate that. Federal law allows the Education Department to reduce safety net benefits to recoup defaulted federal student loans. A collection power that's increasingly been used as more older borrowers fall behind on their payments. In 2015 fiscal year, according to the Government Accountability Office, GAO, the government garnished the Social Security benefits of 114,000 student loan borrowers over 50 years old, reducing those benefits on average by $140 a month. I don't care about the politics here. Democrats, blah, blah, blah. Republicans, blah, blah, blah. When it comes to the debt's impact on retirement, mortgage, and credit card debt, still rank higher than student loans among today's retirees in dollar terms. But student debt is growing quickly. The number of American borrowers over age 60 jumped from 700,000 to 2.8 million between 2005 and 15. The number of American borrowers over 60 years old quadrupled in 10 years from 2005 to 2015. This increase has largely been fueled by borrowers who are helping their children or grandchildren pay for college, though roughly a quarter of the debt owned by older borrowers is used to fund their own education. And here we got this total student loan group by group. And here's 60 plus. Look at that. Look at that. Just bigger and bigger. 50, 59. And this is leveling off here. It was at under 30. This guy, Jeff Sanzenbacher, who's with the Boston College CCRC, and I'm somewhat a fan of CCRC. They kind of come and go. They get a little bit too political, in my opinion. Some of the stuff they do is I don't like, but the Social Security stuff is fantastic. But refrain from politics. It's almost like an ARP a little bit, and a little bit too political. But they do some quality work there. They see the erosion of retirement savings from student debt as a compounding problem. College graduates with student loans accumulate just half as much in retirement savings by age 30 as graduates without debt. You think? Because they got the debt, they got to pay the debt back, whereas the person who doesn't have the debt doesn't have to pay the debt back. That, I will say, let me just throw something in there. I will say, though, this is an area that the rich get richer and the poor get poorer, without question. If mom or dad or grandma is funding your college, and you can get out without a debt, you're just in a better shape financially than if you had to do it while you're working a job, and your mom is a single mom, and maybe the college says, "Oh, whoever can get in, we'll let them in." Bull. I don't buy that for 2 seconds. They're looking for money. All of them looking for money, for profits or not for profits. So you're a single mom, you're raising your kids, you got 3 kids out there, busting your butt working a job, and you don't have the money to put these kids in college. You might be making $50,000 a year. Maybe you're whatever it is. I don't know. But you're not poor by a stretch, but you're lower middle class, lower middle income, and the college won't give you any money because you're making enough to get by. And so your kids got to take on student loans, and then your kid gets out of school, he's got $50,000-$60,000 of debt. He's got to pay that back right out of the gate. Where Grandma Jones up the street funded, like Chelsea Clinton. Remember her? She got all that money paid for from colleges. And what's your kids doing? And Bush's daughters too. All these guys, they don't get out with student loans. Of course not. I'm just using those for an example of the rich kid who gets it funded for. And I don't fault them. The way the system is that. Chelsea Clinton and whatever Barbara, I don't even know what the Bush daughters' name are. They got a school with no debt whatsoever. They already have these contacts, but your kids get out of school with $70,000 of debt. They don't have any contacts in terms of promoting themselves in society to get a job, and so they got to take the first job that comes along because they got to pay the stupid student loan back. All right. Another study showed that student loan borrowers tend to delay home ownership, which is probably a good thing. I'm telling you right now, I go to my book right here. Oh, where you got it? Smart Money, Strategic Money Planning, 8 easy ways to get your financial house in order. You can get it free on Amazon, Kindle Unlimited. I have a a pop-up someplace on my website we're going to get for free too, the free PDF. If you want to email me, I'll get it to you, the free PDF. But anyway, where was I at here? The result is future generations will enter retirement having saved less and with less home equity. And they'll have to delay home ownership, which again doesn't bother me so much, and possibly gearing up to take on new debt to help pay for their kids' education. That's kind of where we are today. College graduates now entering the workforce will face a double whammy of their own student loans, stalling them in the beginning, and then their kids' student loans potentially stalling them later on. Yep. But the solutions are less clear as AARP weighs in the student loan debt is taking an issue that policymakers on both sides have struggled to address. Whatever. So it's strange to think that seniors may be a key in getting politicians to tackle college debt, but the gray wave is only getting bigger, and far more than college students and 20-somethings old Americans really do show up and vote. Yeah, well, I agree with that. Anyway, it's an interesting article. I'm not going to debate the Trump or Obama or Democrat. I don't care. At the end of the day, you got a couple of things going on. It just costs too much money to go to school and for degrees that are just essentially meaningless. I'm sorry, the days of the humanities degree for $100,000, those days they're going to be gone, and we have to deal with that. In fact, I was talking to my daughter today, and she knows one of her friends is going to go to a pretty prestigious school to study economics, but she's not going to take any computer science classes. And she knows another one of her friends who's going to go to another prestigious school and study business and not take any math or computer science. And in this day and age, I don't know how you get out into the world of economics, being an advisor in any kind of economic profession, never mind statistical, not knowing computer science. For the love of me, I don't understand that. Never mind a business. If you're going to be a business person, not having math or computer science skills, I just don't see how you're going to succeed. But you're going to take on a huge amount of debt to go to these prestigious schools, and that's not good. But the college will let you do it because they're ramping up the cost. They're eating it alive. They know they have a guaranteed way to get their money back. The federal government is going to pay, and then they can offset the loan to the federal government. The federal government's going to sick the education department on you to pay it back. You can't discharge in bankruptcy. And if you're now on Social Security, they're going to take $140 a month as of 2015. So it's probably $160 a month now. The maximum you can get in Social Security, I don't have my calculator, is $2,800. That's the max. So we're talking right there, almost 8% right there at the max. If your benefit's $1,600 a month, you're losing 10% to the federal government for student loan debt. That's wrong. Anyway, so be careful when you start taking on these student loan debts. It's a pet peeve of mine, big time. Be careful, be careful, be careful. All right, my friends. Well, if you have comments, I'd love to hear them. Don't forget to subscribe. Hit the bell to be notified for future content. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are. Comments, questions, concerns are always helpful. Go to heritagewealthplanning.com. You'll see the pop-up right here. You can get my free book and the tax bomb in your retirement accounts, how the Roth IRA can save you or help you avoid it. It's free. Just go to heritagewealthplanning.com, the pop-up, and it'll come to you right away. We'll see you next time. Thanks, guys.